The champion is horrible. It is trash. And I don't say that just somebody who's exaggerating. I mean to say this is very bad design. I don't want this in my game to that bad one. Like official material, I don't want it in my game. That's how bad it is. Not that it's not a balanced power in terms of power subclass. It's just it's unfun. It doesn't have any unifying theme, and that fact is made even worse by something I'll tell you later. Right now, let's talk about unfun. So the first thing that I wanted to say is the champion. They have a increased critical range, the most powerful increased critical range because they get up to range of 2 later. Now let's compare this to some of the other archetypes. For instance, a Battle Master, they get 4 superiority die, 4 maneuvers that they can use per short rest. Fighters, they get cantrips for Eldritch Knight, and then like Samurai, for instance, they can attack with advantage. Here's the thing that separates these subclasses from the champion subclass. The ones that I just mentioned, you can choose when to use the ability. Samurai, it's as a bonus action you can give yourself advantage on such. So you can choose with your action when you're going to use this. Eldritch Knight, Battle Master, both of them, you can choose when to use your cool ability, okay? When you think you'll be the most useful. Champion is a passive bonus to your damage output, okay? Increased critical range. You can't choose as a champion when you want to do your cool stuff. When you're in a dire situation and you would like to do something that's special and powerful, and maybe sometimes you just want to do something interesting. You just want to throw out a maneuver just for the heck of it. But the problem is, champion, you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose when your I guess the primary feature of your class comes out. You don't get to choose that. Let's take a look at the other ones. So not only is it you can't choose, all of their abilities are passives, okay? Remarkable Athlete, better skill checks, longer jumps. Superior Critical, Survivor, passive, but it is really cool, so I'll give you that. But Additional Fighting Style is the closest thing you get to a non-passive ability, an activatable ability, because you can switch out weapons. You get to decide which weapon you would like to use, and that is the closest thing you get to an ability that you can activate. Another one for Samurai, you get some passives, but then you get to level 15 with Rapid Strike. You get to choose. You have a ready source of advantage, but you get to decide, do I want increased chance to hit with 1 or less regular chance to increase, less chance to hit with 2. That's your decision, okay? And then Eldritch Knight. You can cast your cantrips as a bonus action. At 7th level, that's an active ability. You can choose which cantrips and how you're going to do that. Eldritch Strike is a passive, but then we have another active, Teleport before or after. It's more of a passive, but then Improved War Magic. Looks like the Eldritch Knight is actually more passive than active abilities, but you get to decide. You have your options. Actually, I'm getting confused here. I'm mixing up the definition of passive and active. So basically, an active ability is something you activate, something you choose to do, whereas a passive is something written on the character sheet that you always do. So, for instance, Champion, their critical range is always 1920. They don't choose, it's a 19, I'm not going to crit this time. Alright, that's maybe a bad example, but like, let's say you have a +1 longsword. That is a passive bonus to your, attacks. Whereas, say something like a sword that you can attack 2 people, but you attack it with disadvantage, but you use a single attack to do that. So you have your 1 attack, and you attack 2, but you split it up into 2 people at disadvantage. That is an active ability because you choose to do it as opposed to doing something else. So with say the Eldritch Knight, you have to use a bonus action, which you could use for something else. You could do a bonus action cantrip and then say a bonus action to dodge or disengage if you have the cunning action. But usually fighters don't have that. You could do a second wind. That's the thing you could do with your bonus action. So it's something that primarily you choose as opposed to something that will always happen when the situation arises. And also, it usually requires the use of some sort of an action, but I'm getting confused, which is Eldritch Knight is more, their abilities are active abilities and not passive abilities for the most part. And let's get back to the video. Champion, no, you don't get to decide what you're going to do. Your abilities are largely just passive abilities, things that are always on. Not that those are bad things, but you don't have an active ability that you can do whenever you want. It's roll of the dice, lucky chance that your ability activates. The second problem I have with this subclass is the fact that there's no themes, alright? Now, Fighter is, of all the different subclasses, they're very broad, okay? Arcane Archer is probably the most specific. It's elvish lore of magical arrows, okay? That's pretty cool. Then Cavalier, fighter on a horse. That's the basic idea. And that's interesting. That's something we don't see often, and that's there's a lot to build on. You have to do a lot of work. Like Samurai, it doesn't give you much insight into what it means to be a samurai. So, yes, fighter archetypes don't have that good of themes. They don't have good of, like, what is the kind of person who would do this? Assassin, somebody who assassinates people. That's the kind of person who would take the assassin archetype. Whereas, say, Inquisitive, detective, okay? Very, very thematic. Oath of Vengeance. Boom. You know that you're going to, you know what kind of person takes Oath of Vengeance. Somebody who has lost something and is really angry about it. But fighter subclasses are not that good, but like Samurai, which is, as far as I can tell, just an archetype, but skinned as Samurai. That is better than Champion, okay? What does Champion say? Alright, let's read it. The archetypal champion focuses on the development of raw physical power honed to a deadly perfection. Those who model themselves on this archetype combine rigorous training with physical excellence to deal devastating blows. So, somebody who is good at fighting, who is the pinnacle of fighting. Like maybe that sounds like, I don't know, a wrestler or somebody who builds up their body instead of their weapons. Maybe that's what they're trying to go for, but it doesn't work. There's no themes other than I train my body to be a living weapon. Yeah, and so do 6 other people, and they all do it different ways. Like Battlemaster trains their mind and body to be a living weapon. Eldritch Knight trains their body and magic to be living weapons. Samurai trades their dice to be living weapons to bludgeon people because they're rolling so many of it. But Champion, there is no themes to Champion, which is why it's bad. And, okay, there's something that makes this even worse. To do that, alright, we need to take a look at some other classes. So let's take Bard. I just flipped over. Somebody who uses art, and most of the times it's song and dance. Not song and dance, what I'm trying to say, music. They use music to do the weave, and they inspire people with this music, alright? The themes of that are pretty interesting, and the subclasses build off those themes. College of Lore, inspire people with more knowledge. College of Valor, inspire people to fight, and also you get kind of good at fighting, okay? So, the themes, each of the subclasses are thematic. They change how the class is played, how it feels. But the Bard itself, if you played a straight Bard with no subclass, which you shouldn't do, but if you did that, you would still be able to get a sense of what your character is, what your character is going to look like. Let's take another one. Actually, I just flipped back to Fighter. Okay, Ranger. Okay, this is another one. Somebody who goes out and fights monsters in the forest away from civilization. Okay, and again, we have like Beastmaster and Monster Slayer, and those ones, they build off Ranger, they make it differently. Like Horizon Walker is somebody who hunts monsters from other places. Monster Slayer, somebody who is really, who hunts mages, is actually they're most effective at, especially at higher levels, but also just like generally, they hunt the monsters and things like that. Rangers have a good theme to their class. If you play a straight Ranger, then you have some idea. You are a woodsman person who hunts the monsters and kills them, okay? That's what a Ranger is. But a fighter is somebody who fights. That is the most basic of basics in terms of themes for a class. And the primary abilities: fighting style, second wind. Okay, second wind is interesting. Getting yourself more, rallying yourself. Then we have action surge and indomitable, and a lot extra attacks and ability score improvement. Those are all the abilities, and they all just make you better at fighting. So I'd like to compare the fighter, the champion fighter, to the Devotion Paladin, Oath of Devotion Paladin. Oath of Devotion has no changes to the themes of the Paladin. The Paladin is somebody who has sworn an oath, usually is very righteous and mighty, and Oath of Devotion is somebody who has sworn an oath, and their oath is to be righteous and mighty. So there's no changes in terms of the themes. The themes of the Oath of Devotion are no different from the themes of the Paladin. Okay, and so this is what we call Paladin Plus. You are a Paladin, but you are more Paladin-y. Whereas Oath of Ancients is you are a Paladin, but you are also a bush. Or Oath of Vengeance, you are a Paladin, but edgy. They're building off the different themes of the Paladin, that of a righteous warrior. The fighter is somebody who trains their body to be good at fighting. And guess what our champion is? Somebody who trains their body to be good at fighting. Champion is fighter plus, but the problem is the fighter does not have any unifying theme. And that's okay, alright? Take, for example, Rogue. If you look at the base abilities of the Rogue, it's not very thematic, okay? Let's take a look. Alright, so going to the page, we have Sneak Attack, which is interesting. Getting the drop on your enemies, doing a lot of damage. We have Expertise, Cunning Action, Dodging, Reliable Talent, Blind Sense. We have a lot of different abilities, but there's no real common themes. A sneaky, very dexterous person, hard to pin down, hard to attack, hard to hit, and good at skills. There's not a lot of themes in there we can gather from it. The great thing about the Rogue is that it has very thematic archetypes. It has Thief, which is more of a rollover from like very early editions of D&D, but they have good abilities for thieving. Assassin, not just somebody who stabs somebody really hard, although that is their thing. They're really good at that. But also they're good at pretend infiltration. They're a good spy, all right? A good assassin spy, but they're good at that. Then let's go over to Xanathar's Guide. There are so many interesting things in Xanathar's Guide. Swashbuckler, become a pirate or some sort of adventurer, Pulp Fiction adventurer. Inquisitive, detective, Sherlock Holmes. Scout, ambusher of the wild. Scout is, I guess, more general, but it has a theme. You know what a scout is. Scout is somebody who's out in the wild, fighting, possibly in guerrilla tactics. So each of the rogues' archetypes have different themes. There is no rogue plus, somebody who's good at skills and dodging things, all right? There's no archetype that's their entire thing. That's all the features are about that. So, when we have a class where there's not that many themes, and you have to put the themes on it, as opposed to it being inherent in the class, something like, I don't know, the fighter, and we have a class, and we have a subclass in that, where the themes of the subclass are little more than the themes of the actual class, of the original class, then we have a problem. Fighter Plus has no themes. Fighter but a Battle Master has themes. It's very broad, which I guess is the purpose of a fighter. They're supposed to be everything. But there's themes with the fight with the Battle Master. So the reason I don't like Champion is because, one, it's got a bunch of passive abilities. You don't get a lot of choice in when you're going to use them, how you're going to use them. It's just, oh, neat thing happened, I do more damage. And two, it doesn't have any unifying theme. There's no real reason, like you can't imagine a champion. You don't know what that would look like. It's just another fighter, which is the third point, is that fighter doesn't have any themes, and a champion is just fighter plus in terms of themes and abilities. That's why I think champion is trash. It's a bad subclass. It's not good. If you want to play champion, go ahead. Just keep in mind the opinions of some guy on the internet who has yelled about it for way longer than is absolutely necessary. So, I'm thinking I'm going to leave that video for now, but if you want to talk about other subclasses, the Rune Knight is pretty cool. I gotta say, it was amazing when I read it, and I really hope it turns into a full archetype, a book. Anyways, so that's a good video to watch after this one, but, you know, if you don't want to, go ahead and scroll down to the comments, see if there's anything there. If not, have a good day.